So this video is not about the business, it's not about the real estate, it's about something that I'm actually passionate about because I went through it myself. Lots of my friends are going through it. This is pretty much something that we face every day. This is about immigration. Don't get me wrong, I think the United States, with all its pros and cons, is still the best country in the world to live in, business-wise, possibility-wise, many other things-wise. Some parts of the services you receive here, specifically immigration and medicine, which I'm going to do definitely another video about medical system in the whole rest of the world and United States comparison, those are really weird. And personally, I think like a medicine, especially how it functions here, unfortunately it's on the level of the third world countries. I was shocked when I faced it myself. Again, I'm going to do a separate video about it because it's like definitely that's something that had to be reformed by the future upcoming governments, because I don't really think that this government was all the things that going in the world would be able to do that. Going back to immigration, just about an hour ago, a friend of mine, he's a Ukrainian citizen, he called me, he's not here obviously, asked me how he can, they're pretty much being persecuted there back in Eastern Europe. He was interested in how he can get here because lots of Ukrainians and non-Ukrainians from Eastern Europe are passing the border right now. Every day, I believe, like last statistic I've heard, 13,000 people are passing the border. For a second, just imagine how lucky you are if you live in the United States. You have everything. You don't have war going on. You have pretty much whatever you need. You have house, you have a roof on your head. You have all basic needs. You're a lucky person. You're a goddamn lucky person. I see a lot of people who don't realize that. I mean, honestly, my morning ritual is that first thing I wake up, I do like 3 thanks for 3 different things in my life. This pretty much shapes your day, because most of the time we don't really actually understand how lucky, how happy people we are until we don't see someone who pretty much lacks basic things in his life. Anyways, a friend of mine called me and he said that he has a kid, he has a family, he is interested in migrating here, working, putting his efforts, putting work to help American economy and obviously lift himself from the poverty. And I told him, hey, I've heard in the news that people from Ukraine are crossing the border and they're welcome here. Apparently this wasn't anymore, this wasn't as simple as it could, this wasn't as it could seem to be. I'm definitely not anti-immigrant, but the situation here, obviously Mexican cartels are using the immigration system lax here to benefit themselves. You can just, it's not a secret, everybody knows that you pretty much can pay coyotes there in Mexico and they will bring you here, obviously illegally, which is a weird thing. Again, I'm pro-immigration. I think this main thing that makes America great is our immigrants. And by immigrants, I'm not meaning any specific group of immigrants, starting from Columbus, whoever ended up here. It's a journey that requires a courage, not everyone has guts to travel to the place where they don't have anything, start from the zero. So pretty much when people are coming here, they are very brave, courageful people, and many things you can find in America. Jeff Bezos' grandfather, Steve Jobs' biological father, all the great things here, Elon Musk for instance, all were great things were done by immigrants. I think the problem with the current system is that it's not going step by step with the technology, because technology for the last 20 years it just developed crazily, and I believe that it will be more developed in upcoming years. Obviously the systems there are not up to date. Another thing why the immigration is important, and many countries like for instance Germany are advantage of it, is first of all, you can integrate the immigrant talents into your government. Second, if you follow the statistic, average family in the United States, they stopped growing. Pretty much the growth that United States have in population is because of the immigrants. It's just kind of a blood whale of America. I like how the government of Germany operates in many levels. For instance, they had a lack of the doctors back about, I believe, 10-15 years ago, and they passed a law. Pretty much every doctor from all around the world, they can just come, pass their certain exams there, which is very doable, not as hard as in America. I know like lots of people who are doctors are doing Uber now. because it's really hard to pass those exams. So what they did, they started to get the qualified labor from other countries. By the way, Canada does the same, and integrate those guys to the system. Well, if you would go to any hospital in Germany, there's no waiting. You can just go immediately see your doctor, and the weirdest part is free. Some people will say like, hey, nothing is free, someone is paying for it, someone taxes. But I'm okay if my taxes are paying for senior citizen to be seen by the doctor, qualified, nice doctor. I'm not okay when I don't know where my taxes are going. I think that would be the smartest thing to do, to systemize the immigration system. This is the weirdest part. I'm 38 years old now, and I've never heard something weird. When the war in Ukraine started, the United States government obviously told, hey, whoever is being persecuted, they are welcome in America, but they have to fly through the Mexico. It was like crazy waiting queue in the Mexico border, which I don't understand. Like, if you are accepting these guys, why you're sending them to Mexico to pass the border through the Mexico? Open your airports and let them come in. Again, I think that this was like a mismanagement, a big mismanagement when the war started in Ukraine. Another mismanagement, and I'm not blaming current government. I think like it's a thing that requires a very hard effort. There was, for last 10 years, previous government tried to do something, but I mean, they didn't really do any reforms immigration wise, because what happened, there were guys who came during the Obama period, and there were cases were pending for 4 or 5 years. Then what happened? Trump came, he changed the immigration system. He tried to do that. Pretty much whoever were arriving in the United States, they had their cases done like in a year and 6 months, which was, it should be that way, not like for 4 or 5 years of waiting. But then what happened, those guys who were waiting back from the times of Obama, their cases went back, so they had to wait another 5 more years. And I know a guy, I just spoke to him today. He was waiting for 11 years just to get his status of permanent resident here. So, which is, I believe this is like weirdest thing to hear, you know. 11 years the guy is stuck here, he cannot go anywhere. God forbid someone back in the home country pass away, you cannot go there. Like, this is, I don't know, man. Like, this is, I think, like just the system that requires a huge reform. Another problem was H-1B. Pretty much this is a modern slavery. Lots of people from India are on H-1B visa. If you don't know, this is a worker's visa. If you would go to the Silicon Valley, half of the guys working there are on H-1B visa, which I think it's not a bad thing. But the problem with that is there is also a huge waiting gap, and pretty much it enslaves the people who are coming on that visa. They cannot quit their job. Again, this is something that needs to be reformed. Like, you get being stuck with your employer, which is not, first of all, humanistic. Second, I just don't think that's morally right. My opinion, solution would be just reforming the whole system. American government needs someone young, powerful, motivated, and experienced to start to tackle these cases one by one. Definitely AI should be introduced in the system. Just try to call to the hotline of USCIS. Most of the time it's going to be like probably an hour of waiting if you're not calling like super early, maybe like 20 minutes if you're lucky. And then pretty much most of the time, I want to say like 60% of time, the guys who are going to answer the phone, they're not going to be able to take any specific action. Yes, they can advise you do this like this, go there and do that, but action wise they're not most of the time authorized. Me personally, when I was getting my citizenship, I had a weird situation. There was a lady who was interviewing me, and the problem was, I'm a PhD in international relations, okay? I can tell how educated the person is by speaking to them like 30 minutes. But I understand there's also a lack of the people who want to work in these positions because you're pretty much locked in 9 to 5. What my impression was, they could do just much better. The person who handled the interview, I don't know, like, it wasn't the best of knowledge that I could feel from her professionally. Definitely what is required is more qualified personnel, a new approach for these issues. Anyways, if you guys like this video, don't forget to subscribe, put a big like button under this video. Thank you.